What's up, Flick fans? Let's talk about Anaconda. It's not a reboot or a remake. It's like a meta-exploration of Anaconda, the original movie, which exists in this universe, but this time it's Jack Black and Paul Rudd. So this Anaconda, not part of the mini-sequels to the original movie, it's about a group of friends going through a midlife crisis. Of course, played by Jack Black and Paul Rudd. They decide to remake their favorite movie from their youth, but they encounter unexpected events when they enter the jungle to actually try and make this movie. It's also funny because I believe it's like 1997 when they're watching this movie that they made when they were kids and kind of reminiscing about the good old days, but in real life, I mean, if you look up Jack Black in 1997, yeah, he wasn't a kid. And so I'm thinking, I'm like, were there originally supposed to be younger actors cast as these characters, but they're like, you know, we can get Jack Black and Paul Rudd. I'm not for sure. Regardless, there's so much meta-ness all throughout, at least the first half of this movie. I'll be honest, I kind of appreciated it. Now, that's just me, right? I'm a guy who loves movies, filmmaking, and a story about two guys who've kind of lost their way, no longer do what makes them happy. Their passion is filmmaking, and I'm thinking, I like that. It's a movie with like a Be Kind rewind flavor. Funny because Jack Black's in here, but it's really, you're thinking Tropic Thunder the entire way through. I mean, they're literally going to a jungle and filming this movie, except without the big Hollywood exploration. It's more indie budget vibes. They're trying to get approved for millions of dollars, and they're you can have a couple thousand, which I found to be pretty funny. And there are a couple bits in the, again, first half of this movie that were pretty funny, and I enjoyed spending time with these two guys who just aren't very good at what they're doing. Paul Rudd is an actor who can't even land a role as an extra in a television show. Then you got Jack Black who's making wedding videos, which I do. And so, again, another reason that I kind of was able to cling on to these characters and what they're doing. But they gather a very small group that kind of grew up with them making these movies. They're like, we're going to go to the jungle. We're going to get an actual snake and make this movie. And I was on board. I wasn't overwhelmed by the humor in the beginning. You know, not every joke is landing, and I was wishing it was funnier, but I was kind of appreciating the vibes that they were bringing to the table. But when this movie actually becomes Anaconda, and we're implementing the CGI snakes, which again brings some really nice moments. One moment that's really spoiled in the trailer. And you could say, well, Austin, it's a comedy. You can't really spoil anything. You can spoil how the humor lands. And you can also spoil where a gag goes. The trailer to this Anaconda movie just ruined that gag, which could have been a really funny gag in the second half of the film. Unfortunately, I just found the second half of Anaconda to fall into all of those cliches that I was worried about going into this film. I wanted it to stray away from that, and I wanted it to truly be about these guys making this movie. The problems that they're going to face, obviously, and the big snake will come. But my issue wasn't even real. I mean, you got to have an anaconda in an Anaconda movie. But it was more, you know, the jungle villains. And when it becomes people with guns and we're shooting at each other. And I'm just sitting here like, is that really necessary? Now, again, Anaconda is not the funniest movie in the world. I do think a couple of these gags work. There's a great Jordan Peele joke early on. And then there's a urinary dysfunction. I'm not going to say much more than that. But a sequence that I found to be really funny, and that made me laugh. But in terms of consistent gags, wasn't quite nailing it. What was working, the idea of these guys going out and achieving their dream, or at least attempting that, and maybe facing some issues along the way before we even get to the snake. And then you get to the tension of it all, and where it kind of turns into a darker, more thrilling type of movie with horror vibes, and I don't know if it was able to balance all of those things correctly. It's like on paper, without the jungle people. That was so dumb, I wish they would have never added that in, and it feels like every movie nowadays has to have a group of villains. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's not ridiculous, which is why it's not good in this movie.
I am so confused.
But when you're trying to do everything, resonate with characters, feel a little emotion, also be funny, also be scary, also be a creature feature, it's really hard to maintain that balance. And I don't believe this movie is able to do that. And you have this overwhelming star power in Jack Black and Paul Rudd, who are very good in this movie. Now, a lot of people are going to get, it's another Jack Black movie. And they're good. I bought it. in the beginning. These guys want to go make this movie. I really appreciated that. You got Steve Zahn in here, who is just crushing this, minor role, but playing this kind of bumbling camera guy who just says the most awkward thing. Love Steve Zahn, but he actually lives really close to me. Danny Newton, I thought they just wasted her character. I really like her, but there's no role here for her whatsoever. Not even a gag. Hardly. Daniela Melchior, I was intrigued by her role in the beginning, but then as soon as they kind of introduced that crime element of the story, I'm just like, why does it always have to? And they put it in every movie like this. And it works in a film like Tropic Thunder, but in this one, it just feels too, not convoluted, but just complicated, overly complicated. And you're throwing so much at the fan, trying to see what sticks. Is that the metaphor? I don't know. And none of it really does towards the end of this film. And it kind of lands with a thud. Whereas we were building to something fun and funny, then you get to that big gag that was spoiled for us. I'm like, oh, I've seen this. Why am I even watching it in the theater? There is something to the meta-ness of it all. This director did Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which makes similar mistakes, but on a much lighter scale. I thought that film worked far better. But it's that vibe that he's clearly going for here in Anaconda, which isn't an actual sequel. It's not a remake, but they incorporate those elements and the film speak and the movie talk elements within this movie that is going to speak to someone like me, but I think of a more general audience member, and I'm like, are they even going to laugh at that stuff? Are they even going to connect to those things? I don't know. So maybe you hate this more than I ever did. Before I give you my score, are you excited for 2025's Anaconda? Is this your last movie of the year? And I'll say it's not a full recommendation, but if you think you'll have fun with this and you don't care that it gets generic towards the end, I'm not going to not recommend it. Everyone needs a movie to watch on Christmas Day, but Avatar's still in theaters, and Marty's Supreme. Also, drop a like, share this video, spread that Christmas spirit. Anaconda actually starts out on a high note. It's beyond ridiculous from the beginning, and it tackles this idea head-on and actually builds these characters in a fun way. As the story progresses and becomes this meta-Anaconda experience, it starts forgetting what made it interesting at first. A few gags land, but there's no consistency. And it gets far less interesting as it transforms into the action flick many are excited for. Black and Rudd are still fun on screen. The final product is unfortunately a mixed bag, even after a fun start. That's how I'm feeling about Anaconda. When's the last time you watched the original? It's been like probably 10 years for me. I watched it in college. Maybe it's time for a revisit. It's a pretty fun movie. Okay, Merry Christmas, people. Bye-bye.